Jakob Fuglsang was a rider that fell into a trap many do. He was a gifted climber and time trialist who could crush at week-long stage races, but then tried to focus completely on the Grand Tours, which never quite worked out. That led to other issues, such as chronically undereating and inadvertently causing more damage in the long run. Of course, none of that is to say Fuglsang wasn't successful. With 27 wins and 2 top 10s in the Grand Tours, he'll have a great career to look back on once he retires, and he might look back most at these 4 iconic wins. Fuglsang has had a great start to his career with Team Saxo Bank and Leopard Trek, including getting a day in the leader's jersey at the Vuelta. But 2012 brought internal team drama. Leopard Trek merged with Team Radio Shack and became Radio Shack Nissan. He was snubbed from the Tour de France roster, a ridiculous decision when you consider his results from that and past seasons, as well as his close friendship with the team leaders of the Schleck brothers. This led to him criticizing the team management, which then led the team management to ban him from racing any World Tour events for the rest of the year. This, combined with the fact that his contract was up at the end of 2012, meant that every race was critical for Fuglsang to prove his ability and get a good offer at a team that would actually value his immense talent. The Tour of Austria was one of these races, where a dominant performance on stage 4 led to him taking the overall win. This is less a victory about how he won, but more about his tenacity for the second half of the year and proving his talent on a team that didn't want him. This led to him signing a big contract with Astana for the next 2 seasons. His time at Astana had been filled with good results. 7th overall at the Tour de France, an Olympic medal, and a whole host of top 10 results. Fuglsang was almost always a contender, but not a winner. In fact, he's on the verge of going 5 years without a victory, and when he shows up to the 2017 Criterium Dauphiné, he's putting his hopes of winning on hold, riding in support of team leader Fabio Aru. It's stage 6, with an Or category climb leading to a descent right towards the finish line that the riders are tackling today. On that climb, the Mont du Chat, Fuglsang attacks and opens up a gap. For Aru, this should be good. The other GC contenders can chase, he can relax a bit, but he doesn't think so. A few minutes later, Aru decides to attack the group and is now chasing down his own teammate and passes him. At the top of the climb, Aru has a 15-second lead, Fuglsang, Richie Porte, and Chris Froome. As they proceed down the descent, they become a group of 4 and enter the finishing straight as a 4-up sprint. Aru gives up first. Froome had the early advantage, but it's fading, and Porte clips the barriers, and the fastest was Fuglsang, winning his first World Tour level event and breaking his winless streak. But the race wasn't over yet. He's moved up into 3rd overall and is now battling to win the general classification. On the next day, stage 7, a summit finish at Alpe d'Huez, Richie Porte attacks, aiming to extend his overall lead, and Fuglsang is the only man who can follow. He keeps his 3rd place overall, just 1 minute and 15 seconds behind Porte as they head into the final day. Stage 8 is the hardest day of the race, a course with 4 brutal alpine climbs, made more brutal by Team Sky setting an incredible pace throughout the day, aiming to destroy Porte, who cracks on the final climb. Now, the overall battle is between Froome and Fuglsang. Froome is riding, as he always does, head down, elbows out. Fuglsang and the rest of the top climbers sit on his wheel. With 7 kilometers left, Daniel Martin from Quickstep attacks, trying to take the stage. Fuglsang chases after, catches Martin, and the two begin to leave the rest behind. Then Jakob takes over, dropping Martin, and trying to gain time on Froome and Porte that he needs to take the overall win. When he makes it to the top, winning his 2nd stage, the time gap is just enough, beating Porte in the overall by 10 seconds, and winning the biggest stage race of his career. For all of spring of 2019, Jakob has been battling Julian Alaphilippe, who is in stunning form. He beat Jakob at Strade Bianche, Amstel Gold, and Flèche Wallonne. There's one last chance this spring for Fuglsang to conquer Alaphilippe and take home a very deserved victory, and that's at Liège-Bastogne-Liège. 175 riders took on the wet and cold weather. Astana did great work for Jakob, and with 15.5 kilometers to go, he's in the front, following a move by Michael Woods with Alaphilippe on his wheel. Fuglsang takes over the front and attack. Woods follows, but Alaphilippe cracks. His bid to pull off the triple Ardennes win shattered. Now it's Woods, Fuglsang, and David Formolo at the front of the race. Soon though, Woods fades, and now it's just two at the front. Fuglsang is looking at his best shot to win a monument, and then he gets rid of Formolo. All that's left is 13 solo kilometers for him to face. On the descent, with 5 kilometers to go, Fuglsang is risking everything and almost loses his rear wheel in a corner, but saves it. Perhaps a display of impressive skill, or perhaps a miracle from above. Whichever it is, Jakob brings it home, winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège, an incredible performance and a confirmation of what we've always known. He is very, very good at racing bikes. Before the COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020, Fuglsang was on track for another great season, repeating his overall win at the Vuelta a Andalucia. Once racing began again in August, the races came in fast. He finished 5th at Strade Bianche, 2nd at the Tour of Poland, and now lines up for Lombardia, nicknamed the Race of the Falling Leaves due to its traditional late fall race day, but instead, it's a hot and sunny day in mid-August. With 19 kilometers to go, Jakob and George Bennett have split away from the front group, along with one of Fuglsang's teammates. But with 7.5 kilometers left, Bennett attacks and is now mano a mano. As we've seen in most of Fuglsang's big wins, he prefers to win solo, to leave nothing to chance. So just 1 kilometer later, he drops Bennett like a bad habit. Fuglsang crosses the line in front of what should have been a huge crowd. The first Danish winner of Lombardia ever, and the second monument victory of his career. It's unknown right now if he'll return to the pro peloton for one more season in 2025, and while his winning days may be behind him, he's absolutely left his mark on the history of the sport.